that was the weakest response to a national crisis in Canadian history. But nobody, and I mean nobody, has the right to hold our economy hostage, Mr. Speaker.
That was opposition leader Andrew Scheer calling out Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for finally showing up back home after he was bowing to the Iranian regime on an international trip trying to secure a UN Security Council seat for Canada. Justin Trudeau has basically left our country leaderless. For the nearly 2 weeks these protests have been going on, ostensibly shutting down our country. Sarah McIntyre is here with me. I think it would be worthwhile to sort of step back for a moment. We've seen protests in major cities now over the weekend, including a big one in Toronto. What is really happening here? We're seeing dissent amongst even First Nations communities. Let's go all the way to the west and find out why is BC so upset right now.
Well, it all started in BC, and it has to do with the Coastal Gas LNG pipeline that's been proposed and supported by 80% of the Wet'suwet'en people and First Nation. And this is where the pipeline would go through their territory. Now, what's interesting in BC, there are elected chiefs and there are hereditary chiefs. Hereditary chiefs obviously are not elected, but they have somewhat of a kind of elder role in the community. They are the ones that are opposing this pipeline. And so what they have done is they've gone up and they've set up blockades. Now, what's happened since then? Well, a lot of environmentalists, a lot of extremists from the U.S. have come along supporting the sympathy support protests all across the country, which have basically shut down our entire economy and rail system.
All right, let's talk about sort of what we've heard in terms of the political response from we've heard from the opposition leader. The House has resumed. Justin Trudeau made a sort of a lame speech in the House that really didn't set a path forward. We certainly know that the government, it doesn't matter what level of government, they can't order the police to do anything. We have, however, we have legislation in place, we have regulations in place. LNG has received injunctions. What do you think the political response should be?
Well, I mean, we want to see a leader take action and actually condemn illegal protests. And that's a big thing right now that we're not hearing from Justin Trudeau. And in fact, he's actually legitimizing a lot of these illegal blockades and basically getting down and bowing and being on his knees, just as he was with the Iranian foreign affairs minister. He's doing this again with the protesters. So what happens is there's a court injunction. So CN, VIA, and Coastal Gas have all got injunctions, and the OPP in Ontario and the RCMP in BC have refused to enforce those injunctions. So what are we left with? We're left paralyzed, and we're left being held hostage by these extremists. And hey, this is going to be part of their playbook for every project that they oppose going forward. They know that they are going to be able to shut down the economy and shut down projects in Canada.
There are very legitimate and real issues facing our First Nations communities in Canada, and very good reasons for them to take to the streets, to protest, to have their voices heard. Not the least of which is having safe water, clean drinking water on reserves. And I bring that up because I think what's happening right now is we're seeing a small, very vocal minority overtaking what many First Nations across the country recognize as a good economic project, keeping their young people on their land working and with good jobs. How do you reconcile these two differences?
Well, I mean, this is the perennial problem with First Nations issues. There's constant dissent. There's never just one voice on any particular issue. And so who are you going to stand behind? Someone that is elected and that is supportive of this project? 80% of the people that are in the Wet'suwet'en support this project, or a hereditary chief. And that's where the issue comes down on the First Nations side of things. But the other big issue here, and it always gets complicated, are a lot of these extreme environmentalists. They're called Extinction Rebellion. They want to shut down our entire economy, and they're using First Nations. They have been co-opting First Nations complaints in order to try and shut down development of any kind in this country.
Well, we are truly going to find out if we are a nation of laws. Log on to Facebook and Twitter and let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.